Welcome to the 4MileCircus, the official podcast of 4MileCircus, which is a media production and social media services company based in Brooklyn. Check us out at 4MileCircus.com. That's the number 4, followed by the word Mile Circus. My name is Sean Mannion. I'm a writer-director in Brooklyn.
And I'm Nicole. I'm the other half of 4MileCircus and a writer, director, producer based in Brooklyn. On this podcast, we will talk to independent artists and media makers about their relationships with social media. If you like what you hear, please subscribe on iTunes or your platform of choice and give us a 5-star review. It really helps spread the word about the show.
We're going to be live streaming this and future interviews on Facebook as we conduct them. So like 4MileCircus on Facebook to be notified of future live streams so you can see all our mistakes and comment with questions for the guest. Some questions may even make it into the show. This is part 2 of our 2-part interview with Michael DiBiasio and Rebecca DeOrnelas. We're discussing their feature film, The Videoblogs, and their distribution strategy, as well as their 10-city tour with the film. Welcome to this next episode of 4MileCircus, where we are again talking with Michael DiBiasio and Rebecca DeOrnelas about their film, The Videoblogs, and filmmaking and crowdfunding and all that fun stuff. You can find The Videoblogs on iTunes, Amazon, Verizon, and Frontier cable platforms. But before we get started in talking with them about distribution, which is going to be our topic, Nicole, do you have a tip for people on social media and all that fun crap
today for the podcast?
Yeah,
social media. What
is that a thing that we do?
I guess I can do one. God. So today's social media tip. Today's social media tip is about. I mean, brace yourself. It's a little, edgy, a little exciting. It's about shortening links.
Ooh.
Sometimes you want to point people on the internet to another place on the internet that you want them to go for one reason or another through what we call a URL that I don't actually know what that stands for.
Oh, God.
An URL?
Know what it was. Universal
Relay Liberator.
Something like that.
That sounds like a sex device. Okay,
moving on.
Anyway, that's not what we're talking about.
Another episode.
That's another episode. So sometimes you have a link and it's really long and cumbersome and looks bad and creates problems when you're trying to paste it into a tweet or whatever. Or sometimes maybe you've, do a Google image search and you want to share that. And have you ever seen what one of those links looks like? Yeah, it's not good to share. So a thing you can do when you're trying to share links on social media is use a link shortener, like either tinyURL or there's also OWL, like OWL.ly and bit.ly, bit.ly. And those two are good because not only do you just plug your long, cumbersome, unwieldy link in and they give you a nice little short, concise link, but that link also has embedded in it the power of analytics. So if you use one of those link shorteners on Twitter and on some other platforms, I believe for Bitly, but Owly I think is only Twitter relevant in terms of the analytics, I believe.
Owly? I think because it works through Hootsuite. Hootsuite can do some Facebook tracking and other stuff.
Okay.
It's a little bit, yeah.
Well, so... yeah, check it out depending on what exactly you want. But they both Owly and Bitly will, to some degree, give you information about like who clicked your links, where they're from, and all of that. So you have some idea how much mileage you're getting out of sharing that link, which you don't necessarily if you just, share a normal non-processed link with people. You have no idea how many people click it or where they're from or when they did it or anything like that. So not only does it help just kind of, make a more elegant link experience using these link shorteners, it also helps you get information about your audience and how they're interacting with the links that can be useful to you in terms of figuring out what's working and what's not and how and where and when to, share stuff and with whom and all of that. So that's my tip of the episode.
I know with Bitly you can also customize the short link sometimes.
As long as it's not taken.
As long as it's not taken.
Mm.
So you could do like bit.ly/VB film, for instance.
So it relates to the content you are directing.
Yes.
People too, which is better than what you might have.
Yeah, otherwise it's
Just-
going to be like ZBXL2.
1-5.
Yeah, it's something people can remember.
It's like we're trying to send people to content, not a droid.
Yeah. Oh, I
It's
wish.
not. It's not a droid you're looking for.
No, it's
Or
content.
is it?
I don't know.
These
Maybe.
questions are too big.
That was if
for
Rebecca
one
was in
podcast.
Star Wars, or is it? She just pops out on the side.
Droid.
That'll be in the new version, I'm
Yeah.
sure, when they recut it again. So let's jump into talking about the video blogs and distribution. We talked a little bit about it last time.
Sorry.
Nope, you're fine. We talked a little. We got into it a little bit before, and I guess if we could and outreach specifically, but for the video blogs, you did a tour of the film where you guys actually like went from city to city yourselves. Even you didn't just rent out spaces and expect people to show up. You went yourselves. How did you do outreach for the tour, and if you could describe the tour again for the audience at home?
So the tour was 3 weeks?
It's about
I
yeah,
mean,
it
well,
was about
'cause-
3
Yeah,
weeks.
because if you started in New York,
Yeah.
it was 3 weeks.
The idea was to get to as many cities as we could for during Mental Health Awareness Month in May.
Yeah. Without using all of our vacation days, or by using all of our vacation
Basically,
days.
by using all
yeah.
our vacation days.
And we started off with cities where we had a few core people, like 2 to 4.
Or well, these are contacts for beyond. This is beyond New York and Providence, where we've already screened for
Right.
full theaters,
Right.
full-ish theaters
Right.
in the past.
Yeah. And then we just got help in filling them also from those people, spreading the word, but also from mental health organizations in those particular cities as well, whoever was okay to join on. And then we, to make it a little bit more than just a film screening, had talkbacks afterwards. We had Q&As. In one city we had just like a round table discussion, and had those mental health organizations participating in that as well.
Nice. And which cities did you visit for the tour again?
So we kicked off premiered in New York, where our biggest audience is, and our second biggest audience after that is in Providence, where I grew up in Rhode Island for a long time, so a big core of friends and family and supporters there. And then we went to Sarasota, where I have a lot of family currently. Then we went to Denver,
Yes.
where we had a couple of friends, personal friends and in the industry. And then we went to Los Angeles, where we also have personal friends in the industry. And then we went to Portland,
Yes.
and
Same thing. Personal friends.
yeah. And then we went to Boston.
Yes. Boston and then
And,
Detroit.
and then Detroit. So Boston was a little bit of more people who I knew from the Northeast, either from the Providence area who had moved, and
a couple of people I know in Boston.
couple of people that Rebecca knew, and then some help from mental health organizations. And then Detroit was our biggest screening, other than
New York and
New
Providence.
York and Providence. We had help from the Columbia Alumni Association of Michigan, and from NAMI Metro out there in
They were a
the
huge
Detroit
help.
area, who
Yeah.
brought a lot of people and brought the most to, I think, the most number of people to our panel for the post-screening discussion.
Cool.
Very cool.
And so basically it was a lot about like reaching out to where you guys already knew you had some community basis. It wasn't just like It wasn't you didn't just like decide I'd really like to go to Portland.
Well, that was part of it because we did
really
want to go to
wanna
Portland,
go.
Yeah. But it wasn't
No.
just that. You knew somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so we in Portland, for instance, we played in the same theater where Multiverse had played in front of another feature and a couple of years prior, and had been well received. So the friend who programmed that, or excuse me, the friend who programmed that helped us out in Portland. But we actually, I started with a list of an ideal list of like 26 cities where we would just get in the car and drive like all the way around.
It was very ambitious.
It was very ambitious, and also we didn't have that amount of time to hit all those cities, and it just would have been
And we were
insane.
running out of money.
And also at the time, we were thinking we would do more smaller screenings, which I'm not even sure wouldn't have been a bad idea in retrospect, having gone through it once. Later we decided to work with Tug, which went okay. We thought it might go better in terms of trying to get audiences in certain cities where you didn't have to put up a lot of money up front, but had a chance to kind of sell out a theater or fill most of a theater. And so there's no investment, there's no risk, but there's also no reward, or there's no audience,
Right.
unless you decide to then do a smaller screening, which we did do in a couple of cities. So that initial list got whittled down to, I think, like 15, and then we pursued those 15 cities. So for instance, like Austin was a city where we reached out to some friends and they were like, I'd love to help you, but I'm not sure I can bring enough people to help you. Right. And so we were like, well, we'll continue looking, and we reached out to some mental health organizations in Austin. Didn't get a robust response, so even though we really wanted to go there, especially because geographically it would have been helpful from Florida to stop in Texas before going to Denver, we just didn't do it. So there were a couple of cities that dropped off of that list, and then ultimately we ended up in about 10. And some of those screenings were very small, and some of them were quite a bit bigger. And
some were medium
and somewhere in between. We averaged about 40-ish people per screening,
Okay, that's good.
which is good. Yeah,
Yeah. And it's
which is good, quote unquote, for like a small independent
Right.
operation.
right. I mean, and I think that's in a lot of ways that's the qualification for anything like this, is if you're not spending, all that money on a publicist or a distribution
grassroots.
company.
Yeah.
Like if you can get 40 people to show up and sit in a room for 2 hours, that's not too bad. And if you can do it in 10 cities, that's not too bad.
Yeah, and it lays the groundwork for other things. So, for instance, right now, the Videoblogs is back in
Detroit.
back at Cinema Detroit in Detroit, running for a week. Started last night and is running till Thursday. And because that went so well, we had a conversation with the owners of the theater while we were there. That ended up, working out.
Yeah, and it kind of helps you build that kind of like we were talking about before, about how you sort of build an audience that's a little bit outside of just like filmmakers and the people that you see on a regular basis at work and the thing. You're going somewhere else, so at least you know that you have some audience outside of just New York. Even though a lot of those people are like your connections, they still.
Yeah, the other thing that was so crucial about the tour is that we did not go on the festival circuit at all. We made a decision not to do that. And so, whereas more typically a film would spend several $1,000s applying to film festivals and hopefully getting into, 2%, 5%, I don't know what the numbers is, but I know it's shitty. And
around there.
And having no real sense of how to budget for what is eventually going to be a tour, or eventually going to be a release where you travel around for single screenings around the country. And when you have to take vacation days and you only have a certain amount and you have a plan and you want to grow your audience and you want to have, for us, we wanted to spend that money a little bit more efficiently, and spend that time more efficiently, and be more strategic about how those screenings are going to affect our release plan. So one thing that we learned over the years doing screenings in New York and Providence is like those were the best times seeing, there's still nothing like being in a theater as a moviegoer, not even as a filmmaker. There's still nothing like being in a theater with a group of strangers or acquaintances and strangers, and connecting with the source material and with each other while you're having this private experience. There's just nothing like it short of, a theatrical performance. So, looking at that and thinking, well, how can we, with limited resources, take that knowledge and leverage it and kind of like build momentum through it, leading also into a similar effect when you release online. Well, what if we, instead of playing at this festival here and this month and that festival there at that month, putting money into it, not getting money out of it, instead invest a limited amount of funds, if that's renting a room or if that's advertising or like putting hours into man hours into trying to get a tug screening going. Pick your dates, pick your cities, like just go get the film to as many people as you can. And so that what eventually happened, which maybe we can talk about later, is once we've done that tour and built that momentum and grown our audience and grown our email list to the 1,000+ people that we were trying to grow it to over the course of the last couple of years, that we've kind of seeded our audience geographically throughout the country, so that when we're out on digital, where most independent films these days are hopefully getting their money back or making their money, we have champions not just in New York, not just in Providence, not just in those other places where we knew a couple of people. We now have a few more champions or several more champions in those cities where, we went out of our way to show those people that they were important enough to go out and see and spend time with and like talk about the film with, and in the hopes that, that relationship continued, as we go on and push the film through digital.
Right. That's good.
Makes sense.
So and that does lead a little bit into just what I wanted to talk about next, which was because this is related to what you were talking about. You didn't go through the festival route. You guys, in pretty much on every stage of this, went with self-distribution and like centered, first your theatrical tour, and then releasing the film on digital. You went the self-distribution route. Is there? Can you talk a little bit about why you chose that over trying to hit the festival route and convincing distributors to take your film?
Do you want to talk about the our experience or limited experience with some of the distributors?
Oh, yeah. So we did the Big Vision Empty Wallet distribution lab. I don't remember, maybe like a couple of years ago. And we met with some of your more traditional distributors, and basically the idea was
from
the traditional distributors, grow your audience, get yourself to 10,000 people, and then pay us your deliverables and give us your audience, and we'll distribute your film, and we won't give you any of the information on it.
Huh.
So
I don't know. Yeah, probably not that last part either.
If I'm going to do all that work to grow my audience, why the fuck am I gonna pay you to then like distribute my film?
Right.
I mean, granted, maybe they would be able to get in front of a wider audience, but like, in what manner?
But you're
You know what I
trading,
mean?
you're trading like mass numbers, and not big enough to make it worth it for some of these companies, at least in our opinion, for the quality of the small. Like if you're touching, I don't know how many people we ended up eventually touching with our rollout, but if we're touching, 10, 20, 30,000 people over the course of our plan, but they are friends of friends or friends of fans that who we know what they look like and what they like and why they like us, and like we're being vouched for by people that they directly know, that those leads or those potential customers are much warmer than the kind of cold lead or the kind of just shotgun approach of, well, we're going to represent your film. Our email list is like, 10,000 or 20,000 people, just our email list, and we can, spend whatever on a publicist, but it's just, information is just being blasted out there in a non-targeted way. Sometimes, I'm not saying every company does this.
Depending, not necessarily non-targeted. I think that they also seem to be interested in films that were like, thank you. So your film's about mental health, right? Like, is it about mental health in the DJ world? Like, is it about like people with depression who are also skaters?
Like they're trying to bring a high concept.
And it was just like, no, it's about a depressed like woman. Like they're like trying to find what the like other like route is or something. Like it just seemed like they would not be the best ambassadors.
It speaks to like
film.
a larger issue that I have with the industry right now, which is some of it which I have absolutely like, well, I have complete like sympathy for, but because of where the overall film industry is right now, from Hollywood on down, what used to be the independent film industry has kind of had to take on the responsibility of filling in the middle of what used to be the studio system.
Right.
So like to speak to what Rebecca was just talking about, you have like an independent distributor trying to act like a larger distributor, because the larger distributors that are large to us are so small to the studios,
Right.
that like those companies are gone now, or there are so few of them left that it's like you only have you have so very few movies in the low to mid millions that aren't that are increasingly independently financed, or financed in technically in an independent way, but they're not indies like we are an indie. So the other part of it is like that works down through the festival system. So with this project, like, we, as much as we love this story and like want to, and I think we have done a thorough and honest job of like trying to find our audience, it felt irresponsible as filmmakers to pretend like this was anything different than what it was. Like we're not a festival film, or like we're not going to be at one of the major festivals. I mean, we applied to them because of course if there's a chance to get in, it's a high reward for a very low risk of like $100 to apply, or $80 to apply. But the goal from the start with this film really was to just make a great film and get it to our audience. That was the number one goal, and that we stated that from the start. And then after that, it was to just try to do the best that we could, and try to do some things new and some things different, and try to experiment and try to learn and grow, to see how or whether, films can be made either sustainably at this level or sustainably enough at this level to continue to grow in scale and quality as filmmakers, such that we can keep delivering to an audience that may not be growing by huge leaps, but is slowly growing with us as we continue to produce things.
That's good. Cool. So I had a few questions that I think we've more or less covered, so I want to skip ahead a little bit. I think it plays off a little bit of what you were just talking about. I think that, self-distribution for filmmakers is in certain respects kind of like self-publishing for authors, where a lot of us think like, oh, that's going to be the thing. I'm going to get my thing out there and and people will see it that way. I'm going to get it out there. But then there's the reality of like the work that takes. And we were just talking about a lot of the work that takes. But like with your experience so far with this, and then I think it's also relevant to what you're talking about previously about Multiverse and how, you didn't do the festival route for Multiverse either. What do you think are like some harsh realities probably that maybe you learned, or maybe that you think more filmmakers could probably learn from about just the self-distribution approach?
You're always going to need more money than you think.
More time.
And more help. And more help earlier on. I mean, I think for me, it's a matter of like remembering what your intention is. Like you can't necessarily go a non-traditional route thinking that like you're gonna have some traditional like blockbuster hit. You know what I mean? Like you can't think that like I'm gonna self-publish this book of poetry and it's going to be a bestseller, because you're choosing to go another route. So you have to remember why you're choosing to go that route, why you're choosing to go directly to your audience, why you're choosing to connect on this level rather than, just turning it over. And it's, sometimes disappointing, because I think that there is like in the back of our minds still that like, yeah, but what if it's just like this anomaly, like right. What if it's the next ice bucket challenge,
Or the next 50 Shades of Grey for that matter.
Exactly. Like what if that actually like does happen? But it's okay to have, everybody hopes for that, but at the same time, like, what is it that's going to make you like, I guess, happy out of this project?
Sure.
And just like holding on to that.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So it's managing expectations.
Yeah, I think
in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
or not necessarily having. I mean, like
having goals, but not expectations.
But not like trying to manipulate the results or control the results or be so set on having this specific result.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That makes sense.
I think. I was just gonna say, I think that's wise, and for artists in general, if you're making art with a very specific expectation for how it's going to be received, whether that's in terms of praise or numbers or whatever it is, you're probably setting yourself up for disappointment.
You're always going to be disappointed.
Yeah, and
because even if you are that type of artist, then there's no number that's ever going to be high enough.
It's always going to keep going up. And
Now I want this, and now I want that. Okay, this did this much money. Like I want it to be like 10 times, or even double the next time. And it's just like you're chasing after something else.
Yeah, and
it's not easy to remember either. But it's like
No.
Well, it's like you said, Rebecca, about keeping in touch with what makes you happy, like what your goals are for, especially with a film like the Videoblogs or other things that has a point of view. I think there's something clearly that you were trying to convey, and why is it that you wanted to say that? And it's not so that we'd reach #1 on iTunes, and like that wasn't your motivation for making the film. Right. So staying grounded in why did I want to express this?
Right.
And even in our communications, and even like just from throughout the whole time, we we had a plan and we had aspirations to like make some noise on iTunes, and like we did okay in the end. I think we won't know for sure for a little while, but even then, like not only with ourselves but to our audience, we led with the genuine truth, which is we made this film because of these issues, like because of our experience with these issues and our hopes for a better future where mental health has less of a stigma associated with it. And it's not that we want to climb the charts on iTunes so that we can be a financial success and our careers can like take off. That would be great. I mean, we want that also. Yeah. But we wouldn't be like, let's not like fool ourselves. Like we wouldn't be independent filmmakers if it was that easy. Right. Like it's just like we're choosing to struggle to make these small films for these reasons, just like, you know, in our last conversation when I was talking about the, you know, people working in the nonprofits or like in these organizations where they're volunteering. It's just like, it's about the conversation. It's about using the story. Another thing that we've been saying the whole time, using the story to contribute to the ongoing dialogue about mental health, like in this country, and other things like, you know, like equality, and the other part of that is, what was I going to say? I lost my track.
That's what I mean. What you said was
what I said was what I said.
Enough. No. I'm saying because you said the reason that we made this film was to hopefully contribute to an ongoing dialogue. And I think what we learned from the tour and since we went live on iTunes is that we're a success. I mean, because we did that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the other thing I was going to say, just specific to the career, to echo that, is we shot a film for $20,000 in New York City, carried it all the way through to now where it's on those platforms, and that in itself, you know, and it like people seem to like it, so like we can say that like it's good. And so that in itself is a success, because the other part of it is, at least for me, and I think Rebecca will probably agree, I've seen other filmmakers like struggle to make their films for similar like amounts, struggle to finish them without a timeline, to kind of like be somewhat of a motivator when there's not a lot of money to pay people in post or whatever, struggle to get into festivals, struggle to know when to stop applying to festivals or going to some small festival in some other place where they have to travel to, then how to grow the audience, and like before you know it, it's like 3 years have gone by. And in distribution, and I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to make a good film and get it out to our audience, grow as a filmmaker and grow our audience, and have that experience behind us and have that knowledge behind us, and then keep going. You know, I'm having a great time right now being a screenwriter, and I wouldn't be able to do that as soon. Like I've been struggling a little bit even recently, like having so much to work to do with the video blogs, because I want to be in this new story, which I think is okay.
Yeah.
But it's also like, when you are independent, or if you haven't yet gotten to the point where you're working at bigger budgets, or you have a distributor taking some of the work, there has to be that balance as well.
Absolutely. So, I guess, and you kind of started touching on it a little bit. So, what are you guys doing next? You have video blogs. It's out. You're promoting it. You're So what are you doing next? You taking a vacation? Are you drinking yourself to death?
Can we tell them? We're planning a trip to Thailand.
That's fun.
Nice.
I'm so excited. I've always wanted to go to Thailand. Always wanted to go to Thailand.
Are you guys doing it in the winter when it's gonna get cold and nasty
Yeah, I think
and
so.
just be like,
Peace.
we're out.
Yeah.
We earned this.
Yeah. Yeah. And so now we've said it. You've seen it. You've heard it. We have to do it.
Because otherwise, our whole audience is going to come call
Yeah,
you liars.
exactly.
And
They're gonna be-
We are crowdfunding a
We need to
documentary
be
that we're shooting
posting
in
on
Thailand. No,
Instagram in the winter.
our
Exactly.
documentary is called "We're Going to Thailand."
Yeah, we're gonna start a GoFundMe page.
Yeah.
There you go. That's gonna do it. You know, well, don't disappoint our audience. We don't want people calling us up and crying.
Right.
Yeah.
They'll do it. Most of them have our phone numbers.
Right.
We are like trying to decompress a bit.
Yeah.
I'm working on the second draft of what we would like to be our next film, which is a bigger. It's like it's pretty much marrying the
If Multiverse
tonal-
and Videoblogs had a baby.
yeah, it's kind of marrying the tonal and cinematographic aspirations of Multiverse to the story aspirations of the Videoblogs. So it's another. It's like a sci-fi mystery thriller with deep connections to explorations of the self and of identity in a tech-enabled and an increasingly tech-enabled world. So I'm probably going to finish this pass. I'll do one more pass, and then I want to do a reading probably. Start getting feedback, start to see if I can get that in some hands, because we're going to need some money for that. And I wrote a book earlier this year, first draft of a book that I'm going to go back to after that. And I'm writing, I need to write a new draft of a pilot that I wrote that's done pretty well in some contests and etc. So I'm going to redraft that and try to circulate that, another sci-fi
Okay.
thing that's definitely like sci-fi thriller action piece.
Very
And-
cool.
And so will you be moving on from video blogging to like Snapchatting? Just kidding.
Yeah.
Kidding. I like
Yeah.
making that joke.
What about you?
So I performed on stage this past weekend, just a one-woman piece that I'm going to bring back in October for a couple more nights. And I've been writing a play that I'm hopefully going to direct in February. And yeah, I'm focusing right now, because I've been so like film and production oriented, on live performance for sure, stage.
Nice.
Yeah, I need it for a while.
So it's okay.
Oh, I was just saying, can you tell us anything about the live theater things you're working on thematically, or?
Yeah, so the one woman show is a piece written by Vanessa Sheely Younger. She's a fantastic playwright, and she's also directing it. It's called Naked, and I'm not going to tell too much about it. I'm just going to leave the title with you.
Okay.
The piece in February, I don't know. So it's like, it's not the first thing I've written. It's the first stage play I've written. And it's called Who Knows? And it's essentially just like these people who meet each other in a bar, and at a certain point of drunkenness divulge their stories to each other. That's, I guess, the most basic way of putting it.
Do you know where any of this is going to be staged? How can people?
Sure. So what's it called? It's the New Works Festival. It'll be at Tada Theater, Tada. I believe it's on like 28th and Broadway. That'll be my piece in October, and then the one that hopefully I'll be directing. I don't know, Michael keeps saying that I should do one of the parts in it, but I kind of want to try my hand at directing. we'll also be in a new work festival. So, but you can, I mean, I'm pretty good at promoting that stuff, so you can find it on my website, and I'll talk about it on Twitter and Facebook and stuff.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
If you decide to allow people to friend you on Facebook.
That's true. That's true. I did talk about it. I mean, like, for me, Facebook is just like, I need a little bit more interaction with you. It's not like we have to know each other in person and be like really good friends, but don't just friend me on Facebook and expect me to accept it. Like, send me a message and be like, hey, you know, I saw Multiverse and I think that you're so wonderful.
Right.
And I just really want to be friends with you because
That's how I met
want to
Rebecca.
be in your light, you know? I'm teasing. But, you know, like, tell me why you're requesting.
What are you
to be my
really looking
friend.
for here?
Yeah, I usually I accept most friend requests when they're definitely not fake, but I won't actually like friend somebody. Like, I won't actively do it myself unless I've actually met them in person once or had like enough like Twitter interaction.
Yeah.
Like, if we've been like Twitter friends or like known each other on Tumblr for like
Even then, the Twitter friends, like, it's usually after quite a while.
yes.
Yeah.
It's definitely, I'm like, I mean, there's not a huge difference between me on Twitter and Facebook, but I don't know how much I want to see on Facebook.
That's why you use the privacy settings. You make lists.
I do have lists
that I
now.
do
I
that.
didn't used to have lists, but I have a lot of lists now.
It's weird though when people who don't know you are just like, "Oh, looks like you do film. Let's be Facebook." It's like, just send a message. Like,
Yeah.
I get it, but send a message. Say
Introduce
hello.
yourself to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all.
I hear you.
Also, maybe if you're an actor, don't think that that's the best
Don't
way to
send
get
me
a
your
job.
headshot resume.
Yeah. Don't send me
And-
your website.
Please, if
We've had actors
If
bring headshots
we-
to screenings.
that's fine, I get it.
Yeah,
But like,
yeah.
if you see a breakdown from us on Actors Access, please don't search for our personal emails and submit that way.
No.
Or just, I mean, or if you see a breakdown anywhere or see anything about our film, like,
Follow the directions.
it's because it's creepy. And we want to work with people who at least know how to follow directions.
and who we don't realize are creepy until we've already wrapped.
Right.
I don't know how much following direction has to do with acting.
Right. But we've also had people like women being like, so do you think that you could maybe just change this to a female character, this male character, and then I can play it? And it's like,
Yeah, you're right.
I get it.
Great
there
idea.
are not enough female roles out there, but like this specific one's going to stay male.
Or white guys applying for, like,
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've had that plenty. It's like black female role in her like 30s, 22-year-old, like blonde haired, blue eyed guys, like 5 of them apply, and they're like the
Yeah.
first ones to apply. And I'm like, not only did you not read it, like
No.
your settings for like what you're noticing or what you're getting like are just wrong.
Oh, but I don't put those settings on.
Oh, like
Like, I don't filter it. I look at everything.
Yeah.
Just because I just look at everything. I
makes
just
sense.
want to know.
I did have a guy and I was like fine with it. Who did he messaged me on Facebook after like he applied to something on not Actors Access. What is it? What's the Backstage? And he messaged me and I was like, okay, cool, sure. And I told him, I think it was like a background thing too, but he found me, he messaged me, he friended me, and I was like, okay, fine. Just show up, and if I like you from there, maybe something will happen. He never showed up. So
found something better.
but he messaged me about like
Yeah.
I mean, it was a shitty background gig. I
Yeah.
do not expect people
Found something
to
better.
actually show up for that. But like he was very like
He's probably in LA now.
I'm sure, and I'm sure he's doing fine. He's probably got like 3 pilots already. Like, I don't doubt it, but it's just funny how people use the social media sometimes. But do you have any questions about their stuff or shall we wrap up?
I think I'm good. I think I'm
Are you-
feeling some games.
You want to play a game?
I think I want to play. a
This
game.
one's an actual game.
Oh.
So this is and people at home, you can play as well. So it's very simple. It's one question. It's a guessing game. It's guessing the quote, guessing which David Cronenberg movie this quote comes from. So,
And if you don't guess correctly, the penalty is high. Just
Whoa.
we don't tell our guests about that, but
You're the closest
just
to the
say-
door.
I'm so
You're the closest to the door.
just trying to stoke some drama, you know.
I'll just
Trying
say
to
that
produce this podcast a little bit, and you know.
Christina Rhea was pretty lucky that she knew what the quote was from last time. Just saying.
Oh, is it always Cronenberg?
It's frequently.
Yes, we
Nice.
like we did Cronenberg with Christina in episode 2 or 3. I can't remember, but I'm just very.
I like, should always be Cronenberg.
Yeah, no, I think we have a plan for another one, just for fun.
Can it be like from The Breakfast Club?
How
You know
Or
what?
like Heather's.
which quote from The Breakfast Club? What movie is this quote from The Breakfast Club from?
What? Oh
You
yeah,
don't even know the
that's true.
rules.
Sorry.
Okay, so
You're gonna get punished.
I can make up something.
We're gonna get
now.
punished. Didn't you hear her?
I'm by the door.
so this one relatively easy. This is actually kind of a famous line. So I knew he mentioned that you're not big on Cronenberg. So
I'm not big on remembering things.
oh well, that's fair too.
Remembering things sucks.
Yeah,
So-
Rebecca's version should be name a Cronenberg film.
Who's Cronenberg? No.
So
Back in with you.
So the quote is, and again, people at home can play, be afraid, be very afraid.
I know what it is, but I'm not gonna guess.
So.
You know it?
I have a guess. I'm not sure that I'm right.
Let's see if.
Ooh. Michael's wrong.
Okay, what do you think it is?
The Fly.
Okay, and take a guess. Literally just guess anything.
Is it like The Blob?
Oh man, that blob. If he did the blob, that would be great.
Maybe he will. David Cronenberg, if you're listening.
Do
You
the
should
I
do the
have
Blob.
an idea.
Okay, and which one did you think it was?
I believe it's The Fly.
It is indeed The Fly.
You were right.
So-
Did
Yeah.
you say that? I don't
Yeah, that's
remember.
what I said.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Clearly, that's
Your
the
memory's not so
problem.
good. Thankfully, also not a skill really needed
I
for
just
acting.
don't really. No, I don't remember names. I'm
You're-
just like, yeah, I like that movie. By
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
guy. Don't remember the
You
name
like
of it.
have you seen The Fly?
Jeff
I don't think
Goldblum.
so.
Jeff
Yes, I
Goldblum,
have.
Fly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gina
When I was a
Davis.
kid, though.
Yeah, me too. I saw
I was
that movie.
really young.
Yeah, I saw that movie ridiculously
Because
young.
I remember they had sex at some point, and I was like,
Yeah, it was
you know,
an
like I was that
R-rated
young to
movie.
be like.
There was a lot of naked
Because I
Jeff
remember it was
Goldblum
like
in
from
that.
behind
Yeah, there
they
was.
shot it, right?
It was
it like
something like
behind
that.
the couch and like
This made an
and like
impression,
the
huh?
yeah. See, I remember the
It's
important
Goldblum,
shit.
I mean.
Okay.
That's fair. That's fair.
She's like, I remember all the sex scenes. Don't remember what movies they're in, but I have them memorized like down to the second.
Catalog in my head.
Are you
There
sure
were
you're not the one who's the
significant amount
pandit?
of curses in it, then I can remember the line. And if it's got sex, then I can remember
And
the
Brundlefly.
scene in detail. Brundlefly?
Brundlefly.
What does that mean?
He was Brundlefly.
That's not a
his-
curse.
Because he was.
For him, it was a curse.
Yeah,
It was a curse.
I think clearly.
But speaking of The Fly, did you hear that they did an opera version of it
No.
in London a few years ago with Howard Shore? I think wrote a new score for it as well. They did it with like a big puppet for when he turns into the fly.
Oh my god,
it
I
looked
want to watch
super
that
cool.
right now.
So
Nice.
I just remembered that. I forgot about that.
I heard about that. When
Yeah.
that
It's been a
happened.
Cronenberg heavy afternoon.
Yeah.
It has been.
Every afternoon should be a Cronenberg heavy afternoon.
It should be. Well, let's wrap up.
Cool.
So again, where can people find you guys on the internet?
We already told you.
You're gonna tell us again.
You'll do it again, and you'll like it.
RebeccaDeOrnelas.com. Look at the podcast notes for spelling. At Rebecca Deo, D-E-O, like Deo. He said Deo.
Deo.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Beetlejuice.
At, yeah. On Twitter. Yeah. And then we already talked about on Facebook.
Yeah.
Send me a message.
Introduce yourself.
Introduce yourself.
Don't be looking for anything.
And yeah, then maybe we could be friends. And then Twitter is also, Instagram is at Rebecca Deo.
I am mdibiasio.com. At Michael DiBiasio on Twitter. At Michael DiBiasio on Instagram, Facebook. I'm under Rebecca DeOrnelas.
What?
Friend me, it's fine. And you can also check out my podcast, Coffee with Creatives, and I don't know, I have a bunch of stuff out there. Just Google me and have at it.
Okay, then.
And you can watch the video blogs too if you want.
Videoblogsfilm.com.
Or searchable on iTunes, Amazon, Verizon.
Frontier Cable.
I don't even know what, I haven't found it on Frontier Cable. I think it's just part of Verizon now or something. I don't know.
I think that is what it is. I think they're kind of the same thing, but it's like a
Is it like
a
cable in
contract or
Alaska?
something.
No. I can explain to you about cable in Alaska. That's a whole other mess.
Is it just like a box,
Like a Red Shoe Diaries kind of thing?
what? What?
I want to know how that would be a Red Shoe Diaries kind of thing. What kind of cable thing are you imagining?
What do you think's going on in Alaska?
What was it? Was it like Skinamax?
Oh, is it all skin?
You think a lot because people are cold and they're just
Because it's always dark.
Skinamax all the time.
Okay, I'm
During
After
the
dark
dark
cable
season,
on, yeah.
is it only Skinamax?
I can't tell you that's wrong.
I know people. I'm an actor.
All right.
But not quite. No, it's like how technically I have Optimum, but I think Optimum is owned by Time Warner, so technically I have Time Warner, but it's weird. I don't know how it works.
It's a media monopoly.
Yeah.
I like my story better.
Your story is probably better.
I like it better too.
It's just like this off-brand Alaskan Skinamax.
Be the change you want to see in cable.
Just a bunch of people in the snow without pants on.
It was awful porno lines.
Yeah.
Well, this
Quite dark in here.
My dad wrote a porno in Alaska.
Yeah, that can be your next.
Belinda Blinks in Alaska.
Ah, 50 Shades of Snow.
There's 100 different words.
Apparently.
So they
No.
say, and I don't think it's true.
Where can they find us, Nicole?
We're 4 Mile Circus, and you can find us on the internet at 4MileCircus.com and on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
4 Mile Circus.
4 Mile Circus.
Which is the number 4, and then the word Mile Circus, which is
All
totally a
one
word.
No underscores.
No underscores, no dashes, no spaces, no hashtags.
And that was the conclusion of our discussion with Michael DiBiasio and Rebecca DeOrnelas about their feature film, The Videoblogs. You can find Michael and Rebecca online at mdibiasio.com and rebeccadeornelas.com. You can learn more about the Videoblogs at videoblogsfilm.com.
If you like what you heard, please subscribe on iTunes or your podcast platform of choice, and check out other 4 Mile Circus services and projects at 4milecircus.com, as well as 4 Mile Circus on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Watch our first VOD release, Nicole's award-winning feminist phone sex horror comedy Small Talk, at 4milecircus.com/store,